Welcome back to Bold of You to Say. We're
flipping
have
it.
obtained and are actively giving out the
It's a new season, I guess.
I suppose.
I don't know. Season 5.
This is the first time I've done the intro.
Season 5. Yeah, no, tell us tell the audience what they're in for, Gavin.
Oh, today we talk about the movie The Menu. We have some conversations about the Ohio train derailment in Palestine.
If this is your first episode, it's heavier than normal. It's normally there's a lot more levity. Not so much with the Ohio train derailment. But we started out with talking about Jordan Peterson. Just be normal, please, for the love.
Just be nice to people, please.
Now, Gavin, are there timestamps in the description?
There are.
What might that pertain to? What's the takeaway with that for the listener?
You're listening, you're like, this heat ain't hot enough. This heat ain't cooking my soup.
Can we turn up the heat on this gas stove? Because I'm a real American.
You can go to the different timestamps and you can go, oh, this is a spicy meatball.
This is fun. I like this.
And you can just be like, yeah, this is the heat that I've been looking for that we bring.
Look, I will remind the court, let's just leave it at that.
Before, the basketball team was just called the Miami, and then we showed up, and now they're the Miami Heat.
We made them who they are, and we're still waiting for our royalty checks.
Exactly. This is an injustice. We need justice for Bold of You to Say.
Can we get that trending? # justice for Bold of You to Say. Anyway.
We have fun here.
Like and subscribe.
We talk about
comment.
We want to pet Dodo, clone the Dodo. Justice for the Dodo.
# justice for the Dodo. We'll see who cancels who.
We've already won that.
We canceled the Dodo. The Dodo did not cancel us.
Turns out
by
all the
a
Dodos
huge
were just super
margin.
transphobic.
Might I add? Anyway, let's jump into it. So I want to start with a little moment of zen. Those usually go at the end of a show, but I want to start with this. This is just a little something, little ditty that I came across the other day. Jordan Peterson, by his own admission, doesn't know how to not be a misogynist.
That's great.
Give me a second. I'll screen share just so you can get the full effect.
Let's say you have a non-standard gender identity. Okay, what the hell are other people supposed to do about that? Like, what are the rules here? Right?
Not my problem.
Because if you're a woman, I kind of know how to treat you. I'm going to do it in a stereotyped way to begin with because I don't know who the hell you are.
How am I supposed to know whether to respect you or not if I don't know if
really
you're a lady?
Interesting. I granted I'm not a PhD, but I am majoring in communications, which I think I might have some info for him.
Well, you're also a functioning adult, which is more than anyone can say about Jordan Peterson.
What, you think I'm functioning? Wow.
Well, you're more functioning than Jordan's "the sulfides in apple cider took me out for a month" Peterson.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a really cool thing that humans can do on occasion when we don't know kind of how one another functions, and it's what you do is you walk up to them, and with polite.
Can I guess what it is?
Let me just get to it because I think you already know. What you do is you come up to them like a normal person, like any other person, and you do go through the niceties of normal human conversation, and then you just politely ask them how they prefer to be treated.
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Also, why do you need to? Why would someone's gender impact? Keep in mind we are a third of the way through this video. Why would that impact how you treat them just as a new person you are meeting?
Well, and I think what he's getting at is that we're so used to for better or for worse, we're so used to gendered norms that, like, for instance, chivalry, right? That's just how you treat a lady. But now I don't know where he's coming at or attacking the situation from, but you don't have to be chivalrous anymore.
Yeah,
right? You don't have to treat people differently based on their gender. Granted, there are some medical things. Like if a woman's pregnant, I'll try to give up my seat so that she can sit down, because that's just being polite. But if they were a trans man or if they were a trans man who happened to be pregnant, I would do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a gender thing. It's just like helping someone out with a medical condition.
Right. Yeah, and also it's not even just about the utility of conversation. It's also just about being a good person.
Yeah.
And
well, also like you said, we have grown past like, oh, let me put my coat down over this puddle for you, milady.
Well, right. And the thing is, if you know someone enough, right? Yeah, you can do stuff like that, I guess. You can treat them the way that you're comfortable with treating other people.
Right.
I guess. But this really comes down to the fact that the things that he's squabbling about are things that can be overcome.
Yeah, not even overcome, just like he seems behind the times in the way that he interacts with just people. I mean, that is if we're taking what he's saying at face value. Like, he is just grifting now, so I don't even know to the extent that he believes
makes a lot of money from this, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, he has a direct financial interest in being, like, the anti-trans, like, climate-denying guy who, like, has a degree for the Daily Wire. Like, that's his lane, and he's staying in his lane. Right. But, yeah, I think he just... If this is like actually his beliefs, he just has not progressed to where we are in terms of just interacting with a person.
Right. And
just saying, hi, how do you do? What's up? You know?
Well, I mean, it's just kind of weird to start a conversation with, hi, how are you? What's in your pants?
Right. Yeah. No.
Because it's really none of your business.
What are your genitals? Because that determines how this conversation goes.
Treat you.
When you phrase it like that, it gets kind of weird. Like, gets a little like,
yeah, I mean,
like, what's your problem?
I also want to say, like, these niceties too of like just normal human conversation go both ways too. So like, if there's a trans person listening to this, if there's a normal cis white person, I don't know what race would have to do with it, but like,
not a freak like you,
right?
Just kidding.
Not
Peace
like
and love.
that.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love. I mean, a lot of people, at least from the community that like I'm in right now, haven't seen like trans people. Not saying that they're not here. I'm just saying that like it's just something that's not in the collective community's mind. And so like people will slip up. People will accidentally misgender you. People will have like invasive questions because they just don't know how to handle that kind of situation. So that requires, on behalf of the person who may be trans, a little bit of compassion and grace on their part.
Sure, but you gotta keep in mind the cultural dynamic that is present there. You know what I mean?
If you could clarify what that means, I would.
Well, like the cis person doesn't know shit about trans issues, right? So they misgender someone on accident. The trans person like lives as a trans person in a cisgender world. So there's not the same like, you know, need for understanding, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean?
And what I mean to say is if it's like in good faith.
Sure.
Right. If it's, and I of course that I can't speak for like every single situation.
Yeah. And I think that like that's the general attitude of the community. Like at least, you know, from my understanding, from what I've heard, you know, write in if you have a different experience, join the Discord, you know, tell us your perspective. But, you know, it's generally understood, like, yeah, sometimes people will accidentally misgender you. And, you know, like, that's expected. It's understood. At least you're not, you know, one of the people doing it on purpose. But, like, yeah, they kind of get it.
It's not, like, in my mind, I differentiate. And granted, this is coming from a straight white guy. So, like, I'm trying to stay out of the Dunning-Kruger effect here, because there's a lot that I don't know. But oh God, what was I going to say?
I will add a lot of trans people, you know, being people that grew up in a cis-het, you know, heteronormative world. A lot of people grew up with internalized transphobia before they realized that they were transgender.
Exactly.
So they understand that perspective infinitely more than a cishet person will understand.
Oh, of course,
the trans perspective. So that's all to say, like, I don't know if it really needs to be said, understand the cis person's perspective.
And I don't want it to, like, if there's someone who happens to be trans, or multiple people, I don't want it to come out as though I'm trying to devalue their experiences, because all of your experiences and feelings are valid. But the point I was trying to make, though, that I had previously forgotten, was that I differentiate what's being asked versus the reason why it's being asked, right? And so if there's someone who just literally has never seen a trans person,
Yeah.
right? Like in the community that I'm in right now, like beyond the university kind of lines, there are a lot of people who just like completely out of their world. And there might be people who don't have hate in their heart, but are legitimately curious as to the complexities of being trans. And though they could Google it, they just like talking to people.
Sure.
That's just how it is here. And so I like to differentiate innocent curiosity versus biased biased conversation.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
No, I get what you're saying. It just kind of goes without saying. Like,
right.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, if you aren't like being like mean-spirited about it, like if you're not acting with malice, like people get it,
Right. Now, what Jordan Peterson is doing, I think, is making a lot of not very valid assumptions.
No, he is.
And
he is squarely. He is positioning himself as just the worst person.
Well, he's really not distinguishing between like psychology and sociology, and so he's making inferences
What do you mean?
on. Well, because psychology is personal, like how does an individual react, versus sociology, which is how does a group of people react, right?
Okay.
Or the study of how that dynamic works, right? What I see him doing a lot is taking a lot of sociological theories and sociological explanations and applying them to an individual. And though I'm not a psychologist, so I can't really say, but from what I believe that I know about psychology, that can work sometimes. But if you're getting to something that's not as well studied as far as I know, not as well studied as like complexities with mental health and being transgendered, I just don't think those rules are a great application.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think I get what you're saying, where he's mixing psychology and sociology, where like there are, clear like there are dynamics like between different genders. Like you can study how men and women interact, how like, intersex people interact with the world, like how do they, interpret their own gender, how do different groups interact basically. But he's trying to take that descriptive study and apply it prescriptively to a social interaction in a way that just does not make sense.
Right.
Like he's saying, because men have a certain, dynamic around women, I need to know if I should, preemptively disrespect you if you're a woman. It seems like he's trying to say.
One thing I see him do a lot is he will make a factual inference about a sociological phenomenon and then apply it as though if an individual does this, it makes the society worse, which worse has variable definitions. It depends on how you look at it. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think he's looking at it in a very nuanced way, because another thing that another Peterson moment from this week is he was like, yeah, Marxists, they just want to tear society down. Like that's their goal. That's just what they want to do. So like he has a very black and white hero and villain view of society.
Well, what I was trying to get at though is that there are things that a collective consciousness, like a community, can understand and work with that doesn't result in like bad outcomes. You know what I mean? And what I'm trying to get at with that is as long as people understand that there are gay people and they're people who like the same sex, or sometimes they like both sexes. There are trans people. There are gender and sexuality can be a spectrum.
Well, also intersex people exist.
Also,
and that's a whole other thing that just does not get talked about a lot.
And as long as society just like understands that and comes to a sense of like acceptance that that's a thing, and it doesn't mean that you have to treat anyone any differently. Just be aware.
Sure.
Right. As long as that's mutually understood, I don't see an issue with like, even if I forgot my train of thought now, but
well, we should get through some more of this clip.
Let people be happy is my point.
Yeah.
Low resolution approximations, and those are going to be stereotypes. They're no different than categories. And then when I get to know you, I'll particularize it. But if I don't know whether you're male or female, what the hell should I do with you? You don't know, because you don't know what the rules are. And so the simplest thing for me to do is just not do anything with you. The simplest thing for me to do is go find someone else who's a hell of a lot less trouble.
Oh no, what a horrible thing for this person to miss out on. Oh no, Jordan Peterson won't talk to you. What a shame.
It's almost like he doesn't understand that the human brain is like built to adapt. Is built to go into different situations and find out what works and what doesn't work. So that we can function as a society.
Right. And I want to get through the last like 10 seconds of this and then I'll give my little piece.
By the social norms enough so that they don't present a mass of indeterminate confusion on immediate confrontation. And then,
and that's where the clip just cuts off. But yeah, his whole argument, well, I'll sum it up first. So he's saying that if you are not visibly binarily male or female presenting, then he doesn't know what the hell to do with you in his words.
Would just be nice.
Yeah, just be nice. Just say, "Hey, how are you?" But his argument kind of falls apart when you consider that, like, I don't know what I look like to strangers, but I like to think I'm fairly male presenting.
I mean, I'm male presenting, but a lot of people just assume I'm gay.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not into sports. I'm not a car guy. I'm not into a few different stereotypically masculine things. Does that make me less of a man? Maybe he would say yes. But if it's a binary like he wants it to be, then, if you're a one or the other, then what is he supposed to prescriptively like project some archetype onto me? Is he supposed to expect to like be like, hey, how was the fucking football? How was football going? Or like, how about these carburetors?
And then turkeys.
Like, is that the only way he knows how to interact with people? Or if he's talking to women, is he like fucking bobby pins? Am I right? Like, one, that seems like a shallow way to interact with people. And two, like, not everyone's into every thing associated with their gender. So right, even if you're talking to a cisgender person who is like just flat out male presenting, fucking lumberjack looking dude. Like, if he's not into cars or if he's not into sports, like, is that not a man? Those are traditionally masculine things.
How do these things like even have genders? That's how we get all in cahoots about M&Ms. It's fucking also, chocolate.
Yeah, there's a lot of women that are more into cars and sports than I am. Are those men?
No. I don't know. What do they think? What do they think? I think what they think. What do you think you are? Cool. Okay. Let me know if that changes so I can treat you like you want to be treated. Like, look, how is that difficult? How is that?
Look, my whole thing with this is just be normal.
Just be nice to people.
That's my whole thing. Just be normal. Just be a pleasant person to be around.
Treat people as you would want to be treated.
Right. Yeah. Why?
The golden rule.
Yeah. Why does it make a difference?
Which is actually funny because I actually, I want to be treated disrespectfully. So I go around, just fucking flipping people off and
That's great.
peeing in their coffee and fucking.
Turns out all you had to do all along was just be female presenting in front of Jordan Peterson.
I guess so. I guess that's
so.
his line.
Or like the way that I navigate the world in a social sense is if I'm meeting a new person, I mean, one, I'll usually know something about them because we're at some kind of event together, or we're, for whatever reason, we have at least something in common because we're both fucking there. Right.
So
we have
no. Let's rephrase that. We're not both mutually fucking there.
No, we're both mutually fucking. When I meet people at the local orgies, I know at least something about them. But even if I'm meeting someone who's a complete blank slate,
like on what you Bumble do or something, like on Bumble or something,
right? Like if you're meeting someone from scratch, you know how you fix the fact that you don't know anything about them.
Talk to them.
You talk to them. You ask them about themselves. Tell them about yourself. Because relying on gender stereotypes is a weird and bad way to navigate social settings. And that's what's up with that. That's the whole segment.
All right. Agreed.
All right. Yeah. Agreed. All right. Anyway, this fucking train. Oh God. Oh fuck. The world is ending in front of our very eyes. Society is fucking crumbling. Anyway, Gavin, I don't know if you ended up finishing the videos that I sent you.
I finished the one video, the 21-minute one.
Okay, which one was that? Was that the
Kyle Kalinske just talking about how they're lying?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so from the top, I will recommend 2 videos specifically from Kyle Kalinske, Secular Talk on YouTube, about the train derailment situation. Backing up, if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, or if I don't know, if you're making your way through the back catalog. Recently, a train was derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. And side note, I really think they started saying Palestine just because they wanted to separate themselves from Palestine. Because the first thing that I saw with this was, oh shit, something is happening in Palestine. And I was like, yeah. But no, this is a domestic, ecological, and societal disaster. But anyway, Kyle Kalinske has been doing really good coverage of this. He interviewed David Sirota. That's one of the clips. But link in the description for these. David Sirota has been doing a lot of great coverage on it. The new media people, independent media, has been doing a great job covering this, especially in comparison to the mainstream corporate media, because they've just been kind of doing a lot of surface level analysis of this. Gavin, are you listening for something?
Yeah, something's happened in the hall.
Oh no, is it a?
I just thought I heard some shit going down, but
okay.
People are laughing now, so I don't know.
Okay. So one of the clips is it's from the interview with David Sirota talking about the clear line that can be drawn from corruption in our government when it comes to like regulations, yada yada, so on and so on. Mm-hmm. Leading up to the train derailment, there's a clear line that can be drawn there, and that's one of the clips. The other one talks about the government's response and how it's been kind of dismissive. They've been doing a lot of sweeping it under the rug, that kind of thing. So before we get into it, that's a big part of what we're talking about with this.
Of these turkeys.
Look at these turkeys. Look at the turkeys linked in the description.
Right.
So yeah, first of all, there's a clear line, like I mentioned, that can be drawn between the corruption in our government, basically the industry controlling how the industry is regulated. There's a clear line that can be drawn from that to the train derailment. So this is something that they've been talking about. So in the Obama era, like 2015, there was a new proposed regulation that would make it so the train companies have to upgrade their brakes from what is technology dating back to the Civil War upgrading to a new electronic braking system, something that the rail companies have been, championing up until the moment the government was like, hey, maybe they should actually have these. Then they were like, no, fuck this, fuck these brakes. We can't, it's too cost too much. We'd make less profit.
Yeah, we would make less turkeys.
Yeah. And it was repealed in the Trump era. So that rule just doesn't exist anymore. And it would have, certainly helped in this situation. It wouldn't have been as disastrous, from my understanding. And the current administration just has not done anything to bring back that rule or to expand upon it or to expand current rules. More on that later. But the thing is, like, the initial regulation, even when it was going to be in effect, was neutered by the industry. The chemical industry specifically lobbied against some of the provisions of the regulation. Part of it had to do with how certain chemicals are classified. So there are some chemicals that are classified as high hazard flammable materials, which it basically means if it crashes, there's going to be a big fire and it's going to be disastrous. Very much like what happened here. But then they drew a distinction between flammable materials and combustible materials. And I believe the chemicals that were on the train that got derailed were classified as, like combustible. So that's why city officials weren't informed that the train was coming. There were less regulations around it. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think that train would not have been covered under the brake rule, but I'm not sure on that specifically.
It turns out that Alex has said that they weren't sure about if that was covered under the rule. Just want to quote him on that.
No, I said don't quote me on that. No. Oh, you found my one weakness. It's being quoted.
Oh no.
But yeah, that's all to say. The industry they were like, hey, this is, it would actually be more expensive to operate safely, so please don't make us do that. And then the Obama administration was like, okay. Even though, like, I forget what exactly, like, which board it was, but, like, one of the environmental fucking whatever boards was like, hey, you really should broaden what chemicals classify as, should fall under this regulation. The industry was like, no, make it just oil and ethanol. But then it doesn't matter anyway because it was repealed under the Trump administration because they hate you.
Well, okay, so my only idea of why that would be even on the menu for like broadening classifications is because many chemicals have known effects and functions that are for a specific field. And so information just isn't known for how those chemicals will interact with the environment.
Sure. Well, we do know vinyl chloride was like the main chemical on this train. And we do know that it's a highly dangerous carcinogen. It causes cancer if it is released into the environment as it has been.
Right. But I don't, of course, as it pertains to this in particular situation, I don't know what specifically was released. But I understand to an extent why they would say broaden this, because with some things it's like we don't actually know. Yeah,
no, I fully agree that if the regulation was going to be in place, which isn't now, if it was going to be in place, they should broaden what falls under this certain classification of hazardous materials.
Right.
Because it's a lot of stuff, like the stuff that they were like, hey, this shouldn't fall under it. The industry types, that stuff that still is dangerous may not fit like a strict list of criteria. Like, it's not flammable, it's combustible. It's the same fucking thing. You just drew an arbitrary distinction.
Well, so yeah, yes and no. So I'm only drawing from my knowledge on like rocket fuel, so this might not be completely applicable.
Right, but like I know I realize there's like technical differences between something that's flammable and something that's combustible. Like I realize, because if it crashes on a train, like it's the same impact. Like they're both
not
bad.
Necessarily. So if it crashes on a train, some chemicals become, after being combusted or put into flame, go into the atmosphere and are sometimes more or less dangerous depending on how they combusted. And then some chemicals just merge together to make a new substance but release a lot of energy in the form of heat, which I think is a definition of combusting, but I'm not a chemist, so I don't really know. And so that is kind of the difference between like hypergolic, that's what like a hypergolic fuel is, two chemicals that combust together to make a new thing but also release more energy.
Well, my point is they're both dangerous. You don't want either one on a crashing train.
Not always. Like if it was just baking soda and vinegar, which it wasn't, but
yeah,
like,
but they're not hauling baking soda and vinegar.
I know they're not, but I'm just saying, if it was something, an analog like that, anyway, it's not though, and it seems that people are having issues, and I think those issues should be addressed by the federal government.
Right, yeah. No, like my point is, if you're hauling vinyl chloride and it's combustible but not flammable, or vice versa, I don't remember which one it is, but like you don't want it crashing, because it is like as it is right now, it's gotten into the air, it's gotten into the water. Animals are dropping dead in East Palestine, in the surrounding area. People are getting sick. Like it's just bad. And I like it's bad to deregulate it just because it doesn't fall under one criteria or another. Right. So that's all to say, yeah, they should have expanded the definition.
Exactly.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, a lot of like the mainstream coverage, like if they do talk about the history of this regulation, they talk about how it was, you know, it was proposed in the Obama era and then it was repealed in the Trump era. And that's kind of the extent of it from what I've seen. But I kind of want to put a little blame on the current administration, because they haven't really done anything to, you know, reinstate the past rules, enforce current rules, expand current rules.
I agree with that in the sense that it was the responsibility of it was the Trump and Obama era responsibility to that was to instate that, and then Trump's responsible for repealing that, but Biden is currently responsible for acting.
Yeah, he is the president.
Bad happens.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get to it later, but he's tweeting like he's not the president. But yeah, I would say even before this particular crash, given that there are crashes that happen every day, they're not as dangerous as this one, but they still happen. Yeah. Given the history of how, you know, that has been, you know, how hazardous it's been, I would say like one of the top priorities going into office is like, hey, now that we're in power, maybe we put this regulation back into place. We should expand it so it covers more things. We want to keep people safe.
You know what's ironic too? I saw this. Okay, and please don't judge me.
I'm gonna judge you. Were you watching YouTube Shorts again? God damn it, Gavin.
I was watching YouTube Shorts, and they were talking about how they're like, Biden doesn't care about. They're like, Biden don't care about Palestine Tech or Palestine, Ohio. Trump do. He visited it. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, this whole thing is a problem because Trump deregulated everything, right?
It is still an optical win for him, and I do want to get to that later.
Like, that's the reason this is a problem to begin with, is because Trump was like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. No, dude, he hates you. If you're a regular person listening to this, if you're not like a billionaire, he hates you. If you're not if you are not the industry, he hates you.
Right.
If you're not Saudi Arabia, he hates you. But anyway, yeah, I think a lot of blame lies on the current administration for not putting these regulations back into place, because you're the president, and like Pete Buttigieg, you are the Secretary of Transportation. You are the person with authority to regulate transportation. Like, you are like no one else has the power that you have. But yeah, I strongly recommend listening to the David Sirota interview on Crystal Kyle and Friends, or at least watching the clip, because he brings this up. The Biden administration, they haven't made any publicly known effort to reintroduce the rules that were repealed, or to use executive authority to expand current regulations. And the DOT hasn't, proposed any new rules. And I was not able to find a source on this before recording, but apparently on their docket right now is a rule to relax current regulations on brake testing, which is the worst possible response to a train derailment that is partially the result of the Civil War era brakes that they're using. Fuck. Oh, fuck. God damn it. Sorry, I'm just reading through my next notes. Lack of regulation led to the trains not being classified as high hazard material, flammable. Okay, yeah, I already covered that point. But yeah, one point that I want to make is, Republicans are bad. Vote against them. Obviously, goes without saying. Fucking vote for Democrats, if for nothing else, just for damage control, just because they're less bad. It's bad when they market themselves on that, but just speaking as a normal person,
Democrats, we're not good, we're just better.
They're less worse. Why are those our two options? But if you're voting in a primary, I would say you have a lot better choices depending on who's running. But yeah, if you're voting in the Democratic primary, vote for the leftist / progressive, / whatever you label you want to put on it. Vote for that candidate, because even if you don't believe, or even if you don't agree with them, they're not going to side with corporations over you. And I think that's really important, because this is a result of politicians siding with corporations over people. And all right, we're getting to the part where I trash Pete Buttigieg. I rip him a new a-hole. So trigger warning for that. But yeah, he's a corporate stooge, and he seems to just care about his career. His response and the response of the administration at large has ranged from weird to dismissive. And I have a clip that I want to play. This I file under the weird. Let me share my screen real quick. So before we watch this, I will say this reporter that posted this video seems to be a right-wing hack working for a right-wing hack network. So, take this with a grain of salt. Not a great reporter, not a great person, it would seem. But just this interaction alone, it's just a reporter talking to a politician. I kind of side with this reporter here. So anyway, it's captioned. This is on Twitter from Jenny Tare. She tweeted, "I asked Secretary Buttigieg about the crisis in East Palestine, and I guess he didn't like that, so he took a pic of me. I'm just doing my job, sir, at Daily Caller." That's the network she works for. Doesn't seem to be a great outlet. But anyway, let's Jamie, roll a clip.
Secretary, what do you have to say? Hi, how are you? Good. Jenny Tare at the Daily Caller News Foundation. What do you have to say to the folks in Ohio, East Palestine, who are suffering right now?
Well, I'd refer you to about a dozen interviews I've given today, and if you'd like to arrange a conversation, be sure to reach out to our press office, but I'm not going to have that conversation with you. Just walk
You
down
don't
the
have a
street
message
here.
for them?
I do, and I shared it with the press many times today. I'd refer you to those comments.
Would you mind sharing it with us?
No, I'm going to refer you to the comments that I made to the press, because right now I'm taking some personal time and I'm walking down the street.
Are you going down there?
What's that?
Are you going down there at all?
Yeah, I am.
When are you going?
I'll share that when I'm ready.
Okay,
I'll talk down the
thank you.
street. Can I get a photo of you?
Yeah, Secretary.
Yeah, I don't know why he asked to take a photo of her at the end. That's weird. I'm going to move on from that. But, yeah, first of all, just give a talking point. All she's really looking for is just a talking point. If you've been giving interviews all day, which I get you're tired of, just give a talking point. Secondly, I feel like if you are the transportation secretary and someone is asking you about a train derailment, which is kind of your fault for not regulating the industry, I kind of feel like you don't get personal time, quote unquote, when you are actively trying to put out a fire, metaphorically and literally. But yeah, it's just like, if you want to be able to be like, fuck off, I'm not working right now, get a regular job. Like, you asked to be the transportation secretary. He was offered the position of, I forget which, it was like something involving like the treasury or something, not the treasury, but it was like budget management. He was offered that position, but he was like, no, I want to be the transportation secretary. Fucking do your job. At least give a talking point, which is all that you have to do in this situation. But I mentioned earlier, I wanted to get to this. He's beyond like the policy failures here. He's just giving ammo to conservatives in in like the rhetorical battlefield, because he's not adequately responding. It took him 10 days to say anything. It took him 10 days to say even just, it happened and it was bad. For 10 days, he was just going around like, yeah, a lot of construction workers are white. Should probably do something about that. Yeah, that's a valid issue. That's a whole separate thing. But maybe don't talk about that instead of the train derailment. You didn't even give it thoughts and prayers. Like you mentioned earlier, Trump went there. He was like handing out MAGA hats at a McDonald's. Just shameless self-promotion. But at least that's something. At least he's there. We are now just about 3 weeks out from the incident. Tomorrow marks 3 weeks, and he's just now being like, yeah, I'll go down there.
So, I know you just said, like, at least it's something, Trump's doing something.
Well, I mean, like, optically. Like, policy, he's not
yeah.
helping the situation, but at least he's there. That's what matters to a lot of people.
And I get that, but, like, I just, God, I inhaled my own spit.
Oh, I hate that.
Right when I was trying to make a point, too, God damn it.
I think that was God sending you a sign.
I don't think there is a God.
I don't know what it was. Lord works in mysterious ways.
I don't know. To me, it's like Trump kind of caused this, so.
Right. No, you are absolutely right. But what matters to a lot of voters is that he was there.
Yeah, that he was there.
And, like, just do the bare minimum. Just go there. Be like, hey, guys, this sucks. Oh, God, this is bad. Oh, this sucks. But he didn't even do that. He didn't even do that bare minimum thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned earlier, Joe Biden is tweeting like he is not the president. This is from, hold on, it's loading. From February 21st, just a couple days ago. This is part of a whole thread, but he said, rail companies have spent millions of dollars to oppose common sense safety regulations, and it's worked. This is more than a train derailment or a toxic waste spill. It's years of opposition to safety measures coming home to roost. My brother in Christ, you are the president. My brother in Christ, you were the vice president when the regulation was originally proposed and then gutted.
It was gutted during the Trump administration. He wasn't.
No, what I mean is like
vice president then.
No, it was reduced a lot under Obama. Like it was proposed.
What would Joe Biden have done as vice president to prevent that from being gutted?
I don't know what he could have done, like on paper with his authority as the vice president, but like he was there, he was part of it. He didn't even so much as say like, "Hey guys, this sucks."
I mean, but part of it implies that he has some sort of authority. Really, all the vice president does is like kind of look over the Senate.
Look, Gavin, like you have a lot of like unofficial, like you have a lot of clout basically. When you're the vice president, you can at the very least publicly say, hey guys, this regulation should be strengthened. At least like make it known that you're like, hey, this sucks. Look at these turkeys are gutting this regulation. But he didn't even do that. He just kind of went along.
Isn't that what the tweet says though? Isn't that what that tweet says though?
No, this is now. But he didn't even so much as pay lip service to the idea that the regulations should be stronger when they were being written.
Do you think the people who would have viewed that tweet would have been like, "Oh yeah, I remember that"?
Gavin, I don't know. I think you're missing my point. Like he was.
I mean, I think I think you're making the assumption that even if people saw that he was like, oh, because of this act being deregulated, this is what the result was, and I'm sorry that happened. I don't think people would know what the fuck he's talking about.
Look, my point is really just he was in a position of power back then, and he just kind of went along with it. That's not as important as the fact that he is now the president, and he hasn't used any of his power that he currently has to fix the situation. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, but my understanding is he has some fucking authority as the president, some executive authority to expand current regulations, to propose new regulations, right to his buddy Mayor Pete.
He would have to pass that through Congress and Senate.
Gavin, not everything has to pass through Congress. There is some executive authority to expand regulations, to set new regulations. Like I'm going to get to, Pete Buttigieg has, like I said earlier, he has the sole authority to regulate the rail industry. Are you looking it up? You're looking it up right now?
Well, I'm just looking up because I agree with you, but I just don't know what the definition of authority in the transportation secretary's case means. Does that mean he can just shut down the rail system until something's done? Does that mean that he can just push through policy?
My understanding is he can set regulations.
And policy. Okay, because there's a difference between regulation and policy, which is that regulation is legally binding, policy is just what they do.
Sure.
Right.
Well, my understanding is that he has the authority. He has more authority than anyone to set regulations and to say, hey, you got to use these new brakes. Hey, this chemical is classified as, flammable, combustible, whatever. Like there is some executive authority that can be exercised and none of it is being used. All right, you looking it up? What are you finding? What are you finding?
Just what exactly the transportation secretary can do. So the transportation secretary formulates national transportation policy, prepares needed transportation legislation, helps negotiate and implement international transportation agreements, assures the fitness of the U.S. airlines, and enforces airline consumer protection regulations.
Yeah.
So, hang on a second. Prepares needed legislation, helps negotiate. None of this is like also has the authority to shut down shit if need be.
Well, that's also a bullet point list that you found on Google.
It's from the transportation. It's from www.transportation.gov.
Well, still, it's like a bullet point list. I don't like it's not really that detailed. But my understanding, and anyone that knows more, correct me if I'm wrong. But the Secretary of Transportation sets regulations for industries related to transportation. I don't think I'm out of line saying that.
Well, so when you say that, he helps prepare needed transportation legislation. Prepare. He doesn't draft it. He helps negotiate and implement international transportation stuff, formulates national transportation policy, which is different from legislation. So he could go there and say, hey, I'm sorry, this sucks. But in terms of what he could actually do besides implement policy, which granted, you're right. I think he should be like, hey, there needs to be better policy with regards to with the rail system. They could get FEMA involved.
Yeah.
At least through the executive branch. But I think from what I heard, Biden reached out to the governor of Ohio, was like, what do you need? What do you need help? And the governor of Ohio was like, no, fuck off.
Sure. I don't know about that specifically.
So, it's just a lot of this is like, I get it. Like you would hope that the federal government could do more about this.
Yeah, well, it seems like neither of us knows the particulars of what exactly he can do. All I'm saying is he can do something instead of nothing. He can do something within his power as the transportation secretary, and the president can do something as the president, the head of the executive branch.
I would say get FEMA involved. The thing is, though, you can't just send FEMA to a state and have them do stuff. You have to get authorization from the state government as well. So if the state government's like, no, I don't want that,
yeah, and I don't know about that particular instance. I don't know about that. This is part of why I wanted you to watch that segment, because David Sirota has been covering this. He's a journalist that has been like on the beat about this. And I'm just kind of putting together what I've been able to find. So I'm not really an expert on this. Like, I'm just saying, like, they have the power to do something, and they've done nothing.
They do. And
that's one of the criticisms I've had about the Democratic Party at large, is they always just pass the buck. It's always, oh, I don't have the power to do this. It's, someone else has to do something. We got to pass legislation through Congress. I have a hard time believing that you have to pass every single action the government does through Congress.
At least through the budget, but anyway, this is why I like our conversations, because I think, from my point of view, I feel like you assume the government can do more than what it can do, and I think I assume the government can do way less than it can do.
Yeah, I mean, all I think is the government can do something.
Right.
Like, that's where I'm coming from with this. They can do something.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know enough to say what in particular they should do. They should just do something. They have the power to either craft new regulations, propose new legislation, expand current rules, but that
they
just
doesn't happen overnight. That takes months.
Well, a big part of my criticism in this particular situation is they should have done it already. Like, day one, as the transportation secretary, you should be especially when it was repealed in the last administration and it was proposed in the administration before, you should just automatically assume oh yeah, I should go and put this rule back in place at minimum, and better yet, expand upon it, make it as it was supposed to be with the broader, with the broader scope, with the broader protections.
Okay.
That's just something that should have been done already, but they just kind of didn't, for whatever reason, one reason or another, whether you want to chalk it up to corruption, laziness, incompetence, whatever. But for whatever reason, they didn't do that. And now it's just too late, frankly. This town is fucked. The people there, the people within, I don't know what exactly the radius is, but I know the radius, it covers Ann Arbor and the Metro Detroit area. So where I live, but there's a radius where the water is just probably going to be poisoned. And people are probably just going to get cancer from this. It's going to be like the burn pit victims. It's going to be like the first responders on 9/11. How maybe it doesn't manifest right away, but there are people that, because of this incident are going to have long-term health problems.
Right.
And it's too late. Anything that they do now is too little, too late. But if it stops the next train derailment, or if it stops the next crash, whatever it is, that's something at least. But my final point, and my, I don't know what you want to call it, my solution, I guess. If I was fucking ruler of the world, whatever, I say just nationalize the rail industry. Why not? Why do we let this industry be a for-profit venture that only a few people reap the benefits of and make decisions over ultimately? Because the government can regulate, they can say, hey, use these brakes or don't, we don't care. But the people ultimately making the decisions day to day are people looking to make a profit. They're people that aren't accountable to us. So why do we let that happen? Why don't we just fold it in as a government service?
Because the government regulates, it doesn't absorb.
Right, but that's just, the argument there is just, we don't, so we won't. I don't see a good reason not to nationalize the industry. Because it is just a monopoly, right now, like a duopoly. There are very few companies operating.
I think, because that has to go through a whole government thing to determine if it is a monopoly. I don't know all the facts about that either, but it's a process. And
yeah,
all I really have to say about it is that there's nothing inherently illegal that the rail system is doing.
Well, that's the problem.
Right. And I guess I'm somewhere between, there needs to be stricter regulation on this and some form of department to deal with strictly just like rail services as it is, but short of nationalizing it.
I say just go the next step and nationalize it. Like, I have not seen a really compelling argument against it, other than that's just not what we do here. Like, by the principle of it, I don't think it's right for a very small group of people to profit off of something that we all need as a nation, something that matters for national security. Like, it doesn't make sense that we let a few people profit off of that. And it just, the privatized system that we have now just leads to less safe outcomes. Like, the rail industry, like the private owners were the people that were lobbying to basically not increase their staffing. They want to cut the staffs on the trains as it is. They have like 2, maybe 3 people running these trains, and they want to cut it to 1, just as a cost-cutting measure. That's a consequence of it being a for-profit venture. And, cutting costs is fine for some businesses, but not ones that we need as a nation to function. And the industry, they're the people that want less safe trains. They just don't want trains to be as safe because it costs more to make them more safe. And I don't think that's right. And that was another criticism I had of Joe Biden that I wanted to make in this segment. He's the guy that sided with the industry when the workers were negotiating their contracts. The workers wanted better conditions. They wanted more safety. They wanted like better, like brakes and everything. Like the brakes, that was one of the things they wanted. They want more people running these trains so they can be run safely. And of course, they wanted, the higher pay, more sick days. And Joe Biden just sided with the industry and was like, no, actually, you guys don't get any of that. And I don't think that was right. I don't think that was a good move. And now we're reaping the costs of that. We're witnessing the outcome of that situation. But yeah, I mean, even if you don't want to nationalize it, like even short of that, at least regulate it more, like you said. But also, I think it's another reason why we need to get money out of politics, because that's the whole reason that the regulations get gutted. It's not really an ideological thing. It's just the industry says we don't want this rule, whatever it may be. And the government is like, okay, that's fine. I guess whatever's good for you is good for us. But yeah, if I could speak on behalf of the government, I would say shit. Damn. But yeah, anyway, you got any final points to make before we move on to whatever movie we watched this week?
No.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation, and there's so many things that can be done about it that just aren't, and it's horrible to watch. A lot of people, myself included, have somehow less faith in our institutions after this, as if it could go any lower. But yeah, it could have been such a slam dunk if, like, Pete Buttigieg went into his position as the transportation secretary and he was like, hey, we're going to make airlines better. We're going to increase regulations. We're going to enforce current regulations. We're going to make it so they can't rip you off. And with trains, we're going to make them safer. There's going to be less crashes and all that. It could have been just like a slam dunk thing. And it could have been, he could have even saved it with this train derailment if he went in like, yeah, no, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this regulation. We're going to, expand this rule, whatever. But like the most that I've seen him do is say, yeah, there should be stronger regulations, but he hasn't really done anything concrete. He hasn't even said what policies he would like to enact. But yeah, just they could have done something. And stop tweeting like you're not the president, Joe Biden. Maybe he just doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't know he's the president. Maybe he's like, I like tapioca pudding. Look at these turkeys. Anyway, we watched a movie this week.
We watched a movie. With Chef Voldemort.
Chef Voldemort. So this was one that you recommended. Now, right. I was curious, had you seen this before suggesting it for the show, or had you just like seen like a trailer or something?
I've seen, you can blame YouTube Shorts for this one.
Oh, God.
I saw clips of it. And so I was like, oh, this is actually kind of an interesting premise. Especially because, like, usually clips on YouTube Shorts, I'm like, yeah, whatever, take it with a grain of salt. But this had, like, the dude who played Voldemort in it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
he's a good actor.
He's a damn good actor. He's a damn good actor. And so I was like, shit, this is real. What is this? And it's the menu. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, I should watch this. And then I was like, wait, I do a podcast.
Yeah.
Where we do exactly this.
Yeah, well, I had seen like, oh, this is coming out. People like it. I kind of just thought it looked a little pretentious. I thought it was going to be another one of those like
A24 or what is it?
A24.
What is that one? Yeah.
Yeah. No, they make good movies, but they kind of have a reputation of making movies that are like, oh, look at this society. Oh, we live in such a society. That's kind of what I expected this to be. But no, it was really good. It did a really good job, putting out the message that it wanted to put out, critiquing the, things that it wanted to critique. I kind of expected it to be kind of like a slog, kind of like, okay, yeah, this is kind of artsy. Yeah, I get it. Whatever. And it was like, it had a lot of like artsy elements to it, but I think it really worked for what it was trying to go for. It was trying to go for this like mimicking like high-end Food Network type shit, with like the shots of the food and stuff.
Well, I like how it kind of leaned into that with how some of the characters were. Or that one, Tyler,
yeah.
Tyler was all like, oh, it's like the edge of death. I'm eating the edge of death.
I wanted to say, like the type of guy that character exists to make fun of is I was going to say it's us, but it's mostly me. But just when it comes to like movies, like watching this, I was like, "Ooh, I like what they did with this," and the characterization is so great. Oh, I'm him. Oh fuck. I'm doing the thing that he's doing with the food.
Doing the thing.
Oh shit.
But I liked how it was like that, and I was like, I swear to God, if it's gonna be like just that, like, oh, je ne sais quoi, this marshmallow is amazing.
It's making fun of that kind of pretentious, like, weekend warrior shit.
At the end of the day, we're just like, he's a shitty cook.
Yeah. Yeah, like, he's just the kind of, like, armchair expert guy. Like, that's kind of his whole thing. And I love that. I love how it makes fun of different types of pretentious food people. Like, people that would go to this restaurant. Like, you got the guy
with
that's
the knowledge that they have.
Yeah, you got the guy that's like, oh, I love this chef. I love fancy food, even though I can't fucking cook. I convince myself that I taste the bubbles and the caviar. Oh, it's so good. Oh, this very tiny portion is so this is some good food. And then you got the people like the hedge fund dudes that are just there as a status thing. They're like, this place cost $11,000 to go to. Oh, this food kind of sucks, but at least we get to say we went here.
Right.
And then you got the guy, well, I'll mention the old couple. The old couple, they're also kind of there as a status thing. They're like, oh, yeah, this is what we do.
But it's
We're
almost
rich
like
people.
It's expected.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, this is just what we do. We're rich people. We're old. We go to fancy restaurants. But then later on, like, Chef Voldemort is like, name one item you have had here. The guy's like, the cod ? And
it wasn't even him. It was his wife who
was his wife that said that. And it wasn't cod. It wasn't cod.
It was halibut.
And then you get the guy that's like just kind of trying to impress people. Like he's just a bullshit artist. He's like, yeah, I know the chef. Yeah, I know. I got connections. I got us into here. Even though he's just kind of a nothing person.
Right. He did. And I love that he was invited because the chef saw his movie on his day off and was so
I forgot about that.
Disgusted with
so
how bad the film was that he decided to.
I had my one day off in 2 months. I went to see your movie.
I think it was like in 2 years. The first day off.
Oh God. Yes, I took my one day off to see your movie. And he's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And it was the worst thing I have ever seen. I wish I could have
stupid.
unseen that movie. I love that. I love that so much.
That's great.
But I also
It's such
like
a petty thing too.
Oh, it is. I love how petty everything about this movie is. I love like
Right.
it's like the reason that everything happens in this movie is just because the chef is pissed off that he has to cook for
Right.
rich assholes. So he
These fucking
orchestrates this
assholes.
whole menu thing where everyone kills themselves and then it all ends with
Right.
everyone getting roasted like a marshmallow. Just
Well,
out
I
of
like-
pettiness.
It's weird how at the end they're almost like accepting of their fate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you kind of got to be accepting of it or else you'll be crazy. You'll drive yourself crazy like, "Oh fuck, I got to get
Right.
out of here, but I can't."
Right.
Yeah. But
so-
I like that the chef himself isn't immune from the criticism being doled out because he is, it happens mostly at the end, but he is also corrupted. Like he like the people there, their like food taste is corrupted, if you will, but his like, his artistic spirit as a chef, if you will, is also corrupted, partly through his own, mental development, partly through his environment.
Right.
But he's not immune from criticism,
Exactly.
and I like that.
I thought that was good too. I really liked how the last meal he made was a burger. That was pretty cool. It
I
made me
like
hungry
that.
for a fucking burger.
Oh my god!
I was like, oh, that.
Let me say, I have since watching this twice. And the second time was a lot better because I actually had American cheese. But I made that burger and it was so damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't cook it with the onions, partially because I forgot there were onions on it, and also I don't like onions. But dude, that was like I normally cook them like a different way, but I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's see how he does it. Okay, he smashes the thing. Okay, yeah, whatever. Like cool. And then he puts the
Let
American
the cheese
on it.
drip and burn a little bit.
I'm normally a provolone guy, but a hamburger with American cheese. It's so good. That is all to say, have a cheeseburger. They're good.
Right.
See what I mean? I'm that guy. I am Tyler, and I hate myself for it.
I think it would have been a great point that like when the guys are just like, we helped you get through COVID, and he's like, you wanted substitutions. There are no substitutions.
Oh god, I love
think
that.
It would have been great if they're like, did anybody tell him how we substituted the halibut for cod?
Yeah, you were saying that on the phone. What if it actually was cod? Just no
What if
one
they were
told
right?
Chef Voldemort.
I just think it'd be funny if like Chef Voldemort didn't know that rich son of a bitch actually is rich for a good reason, and it's because he runs a fish farm and he knows his shit.
No, I'm pretty sure
Right.
that was cod. No,
No, that was cod.
Pretty sure that was cod. No, get in the ocean.
No, I think it would have been great because it would have been like an unstoppable force. It's an immovable object, and it's just like
I wish he would have just been more certain about him, just a little bit more like assertive. Like, no, that was cod.
no, that was cod.
What if he just
I didn't
gaslit
be like-
Chef Voldemort? Like, I don't.
Right? No,
Listen. Look, okay, we were both there, but we both seem to have different memories of what happened. And since we don't have
Right.
any proof of what actually went down, we just got to rely on our own perceptions. And yours might be a little flawed. You cook a lot of meals here. I've only had a few meals here, so just in terms of percentages of our time here, that was a percentage more of my time here. So
but I think it would
that's
have
all
been
to say.
great
That's cod. That was cod.
if they get into like a match of wits, right? And so it's just like it was halibut. No, that was cod.
Are you sure
No,
know what halibut is?
It was halibut, and it's like, no, you did your research on me, right? Like, like I'm not trying to be a dick. You know what I do, right? And he's just like, yeah, you're a rich guy who comes to my fucking restaurant 11 times a year. He's like, yeah, you know why I'm rich? Because I run a fish farm. That was cod, my friend. I know what cod is.
Oh, I love that.
That was cod.
Yeah.
And then like the fucking yuppies who like helped him get through COVID are like, yeah, we have a confession to make.
I know you
we
said no
did make-
substitutions.
Remember when you said no substitutions? Well, we substituted the halibut for cod, and we just didn't
Listen,
tell
you
you.
gotta understand, halibut is very expensive.
It's so fucking expensive, and we didn't think you would notice. And clearly, we were correct. We just didn't know. We just didn't know it would lead to this. I don't. And would it be great if it wasn't? It was just all about the fucking halibut for him. It was never about like he's just fucking pissed about the halibut.
Yeah.
He's like, that motherfucker doesn't know fucking halibut. I'm gonna kill a bunch of people.
You don't know.
But it's just like eventually the rich guy is just like, here, make some cod for me and make some halibut.
Yeah, blind taste test this shit.
Let's really like this at this point. I don't care if I live or die. Let's just get this figured out, right? Yeah. And then like they do it.
I don't care if I live or let die, if you will.
Wow, Alec, that. Oh, that's a spicy meatball you just threw at me.
You know what part I really liked? I'm still
digesting the live and let die. Hold on. We're still there. Hold on. Give me a sec.
The part that I really liked.
Wait.
Just because the imagery was really good and like
just fucking.
It was just such an ice bath.
I thought you were making a Wings reference.
No. When has anyone ever made a Wings reference, Gavin?
The Simpsons.
Well, I've never seen The Simpsons. What's that? I haven't heard of them. Hardly know her. But anyway,
as you were saying.
Anyway, I like it because it's really powerful imagery and like it's just such an ice bath for the characters. But the part where they have the tortillas,
yeah,
there's like the old couple gets a picture etched in it with a laser etch thingy, laser cutter, whatever. Yeah, thingy. It's got they do it with the thingy. The old couple gets a picture of the guy with the main lady,
Margot,
but
her name wasn't actually Margot.
Yeah, it was actually Aaron. A picture of him with Margot. Soliciting her services, and then the lady's like, "Who the fuck is that?"
She looks exactly like our daughter.
Yeah, and then there was one
who died.
Margot and Tyler get tortillas. One of them has a picture of Tyler taking a photo of his food, which he was expressly told not to.
And I think that's more of his character flaw, more than just really appreciating food.
Also, he's like, I'm sure Chef won't mind.
Well, like, it's not even that. It's just like you don't have a right to worry about how mad the chef is at you when you expressly did what he told you not to do.
Exactly. Well, also, like, it kind of plays into his whole surface level appreciation of food, because he acts like he respects it as an art form, but really it's not like a social status thing. It's more of like an internal, like, oh, I'm so smart kind of status symbol for him. Self-aggrandizing, exactly. But he doesn't care about the art because they explain, the staff explain that the chef doesn't want you to take photos of his food because it violates the ephemeral nature of it, which whether you think that's pretentious or not, like, respect the kitchen's rules. Respect the chef as an artist, especially with this like high-end establishment where the food is art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he serves like sauce with no bread as like an artistic statement, which I thought was cool. I thought that was a cool, thing. Like I'll say why I like that in a second. But yeah, he doesn't appreciate the art of it. He just wants to feel smart. But the reason I really like the bread thing, and I completely forgot about it until just now, but I really liked that he's like, for millennia, bread has been the food of, the poor. Like only, it's like the one thing that if you have like very little resources, you can have that at least. Like the ancient, Romans or whatever dipped their bread in, their stale bread in wine for breakfast. It's been, a symbol of the proletariat for a long fucking time. You fuckers, you want to think you're so different. You want to think you're so above, the poor, the working class, so on and so on. You think you're so high and mighty, with all your money and all that. Well, you don't fucking get bread. You don't get bread because you think you're so different. You think you're so much better. You think you're better than bread. So you don't get bread. And you better not fucking complain when you don't get it. I like that. I liked what it, like what it meant for the characters. I thought that was cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I like how like jealous Tyler gets of Margot.
Oh, dude. Oh, dude, he freaked out so bad.
Fucking got pissed.
Dude, when he called her a child, especially, okay, like, I don't know.
He's projecting. He's hard projecting.
Well, that was before we knew what exactly their relationship was. Like, that was before we knew that he hired
that
her
she was
to go with him.
And it was originally supposed to be his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, and then she broke up with him. I don't know if
Probably
it makes
because he was kind of a snooty asshole.
No, for sure. He's the kind of guy to go to a restaurant where they say you're going to die. But yeah, I don't know if it makes it better or worse. Like the fact that they're not even like dating or anything, that he freaks out on her like that. Cause like, like on the one hand, like that's a stranger to you. Like you have no right to call a stranger, like a child, say they're acting like a child, freak out on him like that.
What if he's seen her
but
before?
it wouldn't be any better if it was his girlfriend.
What if he's used her services before?
I don't know. I don't know how that would affect the dynamic. But yeah, dude, that meltdown, that was kind of hard to watch. I was like, just be normal, please, just be normal.
What about when they cut off that guy's finger?
Oh, yeah. I kind of like. Okay, first of all, I side with him. Okay, I side with him for wanting to escape and all that. But I thought it was kind of funny that she's like, "Okay, sit down," or what do you think you can resist us or whatever? He's like, "Yeah, I want out of here." And she's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to sit down?" And he's like, I want to get out of here." And she's like, "What? You think you can handle it?" That's the phrasing. Do you think you can handle it? He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna handle this." All right, left ring finger.
Well, no, she asked him which hand.
Which hand do you want to handle this with? Left hand. She's like, "Okay, left ring finger." And then they bring him back to the table, put his hand down on the thing, chop it off. The first word that comes into my head is I want to say I thought it was funny, but I feel like that's not the right word to use. But I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was kind of funny how Tyler throughout the whole thing was just like, "Oh yeah, this food is delicious,
dude." Oh yeah, he was like so like dissonant through the whole thing. He was like, "Oh yeah, it's all part of the experience. It's all theater. Oh, it's part of the It's part of the art. He's committing to the bit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the part where he gets stabbed in the thigh. And then Chef Voldemort gets stabbed in the thigh. But the whole thing where it's just like, if I were there, right? Gets stabbed in the thigh and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to let all the guys, you can just try to escape. You tried. Fuck it. Who cares? I just try to escape." I would have just been like, I feel like you planned this. And I feel like you made it so there's no way for me to escape. If I have to go, I will. I'll take a nice walkabout and you can come and get me when you need me. But I'm just can I have a glass of wine? A nice glass of wine, take a little walk. Is that fine? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
In that scene, like, I think the reason that Tyler doesn't, like, run away like the other guys is because he's like, "Oh, no, but, like, I'm different. Like, Chef likes me. Chef likes me. I understand.
Right.
I understand the culinary arts. I'm not like these other guys, so I don't need to run away."
Yeah.
But he's like, no. You two. Go run.
No, it's weird because it's like I would have been like, "So are you suggesting? Are you telling?
Just fucking run.
Are you suggesting I run? Or are you telling me to run?
For the love of God, just run away.
Okay, can I have some wine.
I'll kill
first,
you right here if you don't run away.
I mean, don't do me any favors.
Yeah.
And then all the girls go in. They have like a girls thing going on.
That was nice.
I think it's funny. I thought it was nice because it was like it got away from all the like, "Oh my God, we're gonna die." And
well, it also makes it scarier because it like humanizes the staff like a little bit further. Because like at least if you don't know anything about them, you're just kind of like, "Oh, these are like a force of nature. Like these are just some faceless people that are trying to kill me." But when you like get to know them as people, it makes it that much scarier that they still are trying to kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I love to like they're trying all the food and they're warming up to they're genuinely warming up to each other and just having like a nice little chat, right? And they're like, wow, this food, this is amazing. This foam that you made is like genuinely amazing. And she starts crying because she's all touched. And it's kind of sad, but also kind of funny too.
I read that as
like,
fake crying.
I thought it was real.
No, because she was like,
was,
oh my God, that means that, oh, that used to mean so much to me.
No, at
like, that's
first,
kinda how
and then
it
she started
went.
crying.
Oh, did she? I thought the crying was first.
I thought
sounds
the
like
crying was
neither of
second.
us know what actually went down.
Actually,
it was cod.
Actually, it was cod. I just
And
love
he says
how
it
that
like
happens.
that.
What?
Actually, it was cod.
It was cod. But they're chatting, and one of the rich ladies is like, "We can help you if you let us live." And she's just like, "Oh no, the killing was my idea."
Oh, that was so great,
And I was like, "Oof,
dude!
get fucked." You thought,
as Haley
bitch,
and I
you
were watching the movie.
Oh, it was so funny.
As we were watching the movie, first of all, I was like, okay, I know I am being Tyler right now, but, and I realize it goes against the point of the movie to try to predict what happens next. I get that. But what I think is going to happen is Chef Voldemort is going to rediscover the magic of cooking. And then, he's going to have his ratatouille moment. And he's going to be like, actually, I choose life. And then the chef lady is going to be like, no. Commit to the bit. We're all going to die. Come on, you agree to this. And then I thought that was going to be like the third act, like battle, if you will.
Nah.
Nah, he was in it.
But I just love that bit. And then like it's funny how like even though the like caterers and waiters know like that they're gonna die, they still like are kind and courteous.
Well, yeah, that's their job.
I know, yeah, but like
it's like, yeah, we're gonna like, die, but like,
why not be like, why not be like the guy's trying to leave? Sit the fuck down! You are going through with this. Sit down, motherfucker. I think that would have been funny, but no, they're just like chop off his fucking finger, and they're like, "Can I help you back to your seat?" And it's like, you chopped off my fucking finger.
I loved watching the decline of what's her name, like the main staff lady, the one that like greets them as they go to the island.
Yeah.
She gets progressively more unhinged until the end, where Chef is like, this fucking imbecile forgot the barrel or whatever it was,
and she's ugly
like,
too.
Yeah, and she's ugly and she stinks. And
she's not a good cook.
And
I think she should have made the mess.
Yeah. And then later on, as she's trying to stab Margot to death, she's like, I know I didn't forget the barrel. The chef forgot to tell me to get it. Like, dude, that must be, that would fuck with you being in that situation.
Well, that's how you know someone's just a fucking jerk off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like,
and that's
like,
why.
Why didn't you get the barrel?
That's part of like the whole, like, Chef Voldemort isn't immune from criticism thing. Because like he is also flawed. He probably didn't tell her to get the barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he drove this woman to absolute insanity.
Right. And it's weird because it's almost like the guy who made the mess, right? I feel like he didn't mean enough to the chef to like at least torture. You know what I mean?
Who made
Whereas
what mess? I don't remember.
when
he did the thing that you can't show on YouTube.
Right. And at least with this lady, I think he cared enough about her to sadistically keep her around just to maniacally toy with.
Yeah. Say what you will. Say what you will about Chef Voldemort. Also, I love that we have never referred to him by his actual name. Say what you will about Chef Voldemort.
It's like Julian something.
Julian something. Say what you will about Chef Voldemort. Not the most stable person, I would say.
No. It's just weird when someone is clearly insane, but like is going about it in a completely sane way.
Yeah, no, that's what I love about his performance. He's just so like what he is doing is crazy, but you kind of get behind it, especially when he explains like how he used to love cooking, but just everything around him has made him just hate it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of sympathize with what he's doing, especially when you consider who is like, who's dining there.
But he also has sort of a superiority complex.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's like a human thing. That's not just something that happens to like geniuses. That's just like how people develop as people. And so like I would tell him as like a normal goof on this world, I'd be like, yeah, man, join the club.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you think you're the only person who's been burned out?
You think you're the only person who loved something that they do just to have other people ruin it for them?
Take a fucking vacation.
Dude, check your privilege, my guy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, to close it out, that's why I like the ending so much. Because it puts him in his place. Because Margot is like, no, you're fucked up too. These people are fucked up, but you're fucked up too. And you kind of did this to yourself. Do you love cooking? Do you cook with love? He's like, yeah, no, of course I cook with love. No, you don't. You cook with obsession, which is not the same thing. I don't taste the fucking love.
Right.
And I love that moment so much. Like that scene felt really powerful because it kind of like, it kind of encapsulates the point of the movie, which I think the main message is like, art is great. Like high art.
Find some bitches.
Get some bitches on your dick. And whatever your art of choice is, whether it's, cooking, whether it's movies, whatever your art of choice is. Like, it's really cool to have, these deconstructions. And this is actually a similar point to what I've made in my videos. It's great to have these like artistic deconstructions, right? Like, oh, this is a deconstruction of an old classic. This is it's spaghetti, but it's upside down. Like that's cool and all. But sometimes you just want a cheeseburger and you're not above that.
Well, that's why I don't like what Tyler did. Like it really, maybe it just shows a character flaw with him.
If he was still alive for the final scene, he would be freaking out that she dared to order a cheeseburger from him.
Yeah. Yeah. But when the chef is just like, Tyler, you're one of us. You're one of us. Cook us something, please. Show us how much of a genius you are.
Yeah.
And he decides to make something that's actually hard to make.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't cook.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to cook, but he still chooses to cook lamb for some reason.
One of the hardest proteins to make properly.
Yeah, like we were talking about this on the phone the other day, but I like to think I could handle that. I just make some pescetti,
I'll just make some eggs. I would make some easy over eggs.
Yeah, I can do that.
The way I make them, because that's how I like them.
Yeah, and it's good. It's a good little bit of food. It's not the fanciest thing. It's not fish eggs, but it's something.
No, I would ask them, like, I know exactly what kind of bread I would want because it's simple. It's simple. It's like, hey, I just need some slices of baguette, toasted, but don't toast them just yet. I'll let you know when I want them toasted. 2 eggs, some butter, some salt, maybe some pepper too, if I'm going to be fancy here. A nonstick pan, and
it'd be a good candidate.
What are those? What?
It'd be a good candidate for a little recipe to make for that.
What?
And it's more of a snack thing, but get a couple slices of sourdough bread. That's my bread of choice, at least. Mm-hmm. Spray some avocado oil on it. Put some Morton makes nature seasoning. It's like a seasoning mix. Put that on it. Stick it in the air fryer. Put it on, like, I think it's like 320. Use like the bread setting, but instead of 8 minutes like it is on our air fryer, set it to 4. So it's like, I think like 320 for 4 minutes. Comes out nice and toasted. Dip it in some hummus. It's amazing.
Fuck.
And it's like it's simple. It's simple enough that you can make it, but it has, it's got spices. It got seasonings in it. It's I think fancy enough that it could be in that place as something.
Exactly. I think it would have been, because, okay, we talked about this on the phone too. I think it would have been great when he was like trying to name off all the ingredients he needs, and he was like, shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want shit?
You want shit?
You want shit? I can give you some shit.
Being a dick.
And I know he totally would have too. Totally would have done that.
He would have dropped his drawers right there. He would have been like, give me the pan. Give me the pan.
I need a fucking turd right now. But I think it would have been great if Tyler just like was a fucking sly son of a bitch. And he was just like, actually, yeah, I need some shit.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's it. Yeah, give me some shit. And it's just like, here you go. Here's your meal. It's a fucking turd. You fucking asshole. Because you're an like, and the second Tyler figures out, that Chef Voldemort is just trying to be a dick, right? And it's just trying to make Tyler, like, put Tyler in his place. He should have just been like, actually, yeah, I do need human shit.
Yeah.
Actually, better yet, I need shit and rat poison, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I get some shit with rat poison sprinkled on top of it with the side of mousetrap? with a side of mousetrap on your balls.
Which is a palate cleanser, because I have a shot of my own piss I want you to drink.
Actually, can I? You said any ingredient, right? Any
ingredient, right? Yeah.
Can I have a gun? Can I have a gun to shoot you with?
Can I have a gun?
Because apparently shit's on the menu, so anything fucking goes in this kitchen.
Anything? I can get anything. Yeah, anything. Can I like a grenade? Like, can I get that? Actually, hang on. I want $1 million first. I need $1 million tax free
in a Swiss bank account. And if I had 2 wishes,
if I had 2 wishes, no, he points at one of the waitresses, and he's just like, anything, and he's like,
I can eat anything here.
I can eat anything, right? And he gives him the eyebrows perk up.
Can I have your ass? Your ass, chef?
Can I tap? Can I tap that?
Chef ass? Ass chef?
Can I
eat chef ass?
Suck your dick? Can I fucking? That'd be funny if he like jerks off to completion into the drink.
The remaining hour and a half is just him being like, chef, can we kiss a little? Chef,
I think it'd be funny.
Ass, chef, suck meat, chef meat. Can I have chef's meat, please?
Oh, what if you were just like, hey, okay, so for this next meal, I'm gonna make human. I need your penis. I'm gonna cook your penis.
Anyway,
testicles.
Anyway, before we got derailed, I was talking about the final scene. And I was saying, to close it out, here's why I like it so much. To close out this segment. No, I really like that. I like how it, kind of solidifies the message, which is just, yeah, cool, deconstructions, awesome, high art, whatever. Sometimes you just want a cheeseburger. And like, when I was watching it, I was like, oh my God, she's doing the cheat code. She's doing the cheat code. And when she's like, yeah, can I get that to go? You said anything, right? Can I get that to go? And then he just lets her go. But I like to think he does it for a reason, and that is he's just like, oh yeah, no, everyone here deserves to die. I mean, maybe not my kitchen staff, but down with the ship.
Right? I remember the scene. That
okay,
was really good.
let me finish. Let me finish, you bastard. But I like to think he's like, okay, yeah, everyone here, we're kind of on our way out. But no, she has hope. She has made me realize the error of my ways. Oh my God, I love cooking again. Oh, fuck. Oh, she deserves to be in the world. Okay. And I like to think that's why he let her go. But anyway, what part did you remember? And then we will talk about what next week's movie is.
When that actor is like, hey, Chef Voldemort, I get why I have to die. I get why these people have to die. Why does my assistant have to die? She's my assistant.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Let me say this. He's like, why does my assistant have to die? She's just here. And he's like, what's your name? She's like, yeah, let me do it. He's like, hey, what college did you go to? She's like, Brown. And he's just like, student loans. No.
And then he said,
up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
He said,
you're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm going to kill you, give me $200.
Student loan debt.
It's in my contract that I have to use the sound pads.
I just thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
Because I would have
this
died
was my
then.
reaction.
I would have killed me.
Anyway,
No, if I were in that room too, if I were there, I think it would have been funny if like there was one dude with like a fucking twisted sense of humor.
dude, I would have
and he's
been like,
sitting
I would have done one of those.
I think it would be funny if he was just like, "What college you go to?" She's like, "Brown." He's like, "Student loan debt? No, you're gonna die." And you just hear someone in the background go,
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
and then you just hear him yell, "Get fucked!"
Oh, I wish I could have been there. Just like, fuck you, lady. Oh. I know I'm gonna die too, but that was worth it.
That
That made it all worth it.
We have fun here, even though we're gonna die. We have fun here.
We have fun here.
Guess what? Rosie benefits everybody. Hurts nobody.
All right, that's enough of that.
We
No
have
more.
fun here.
We have fun here.
I would ask him to make turkey.
Oh, look at these turkeys.
Look at these turkeys. I think it would have been great though if it's like he makes the burger and she's like takes a bite and she's like, "Oh, this is good," and she's like, "Could you use some paprika? You have some paprika?" And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, paprika. Do you have some paprika? It'd be really tasty on this." And he's just like, "You know, of all the spices that we have, we actually don't have paprika."
You know what? You got
Shit.
me. You can leave
You
now.
got me. You're free to go.
Yeah. You beat the system.
Ah, fuck. Wow. Shit. I mean, and he like looks at the assistant sous chef and he's just like, "How do we forget fucking paprika?
Anyway,
How do we forget that?"
Anyway, best movie ever. I would say
It was actually one
best
of the better
movie ever.
ones.
Best burger ever.
It looked really good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I wish someone would like do an interview with the actress who played Margot and be like, "Hey, how was the burger actually though?"
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, it was. Look, if my approximation is anything close to what it was on set, you know. Well, I mean, on set they use fake food and all that, and you know it's actually made of cardboard and asbestos. But you know, in the movie, if it's anything close, it's delicious. It's immaculate. It's so fucking
That looks
wonderful.
so fucking good.
So good.
Holy shit.
If I had more ground beef, I would make another one right after this recording.
Yeah. Dude, caramelize those fucking onions, dude. Oh, fuck.
Well, I don't like onions.
But when they get caramelized, it's delicious.
Well, I have caramel syrup.
Not the same thing, but
Well, what do you know?
Fine, use onion powder.
Up yours.
Up yours,
woke
woke
moralists. Up yours, woke moralists. Anyway, best movie ever.
it was really good.
Yeah.
I think more than just the content of the movie, I think we were able to make some really funny fucking bits out of it.
I think so. Yeah, and they
I
didn't
think
drag
that was
on too
fucking
long.
funny.
Nothing like excuse me, nothing like that.
Well, I like how the movie in and of itself is like something that doesn't try to draw itself out. It knows what it is. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, you
No, I
get the
appreciate
point. Let's
that.
end this. You're done. We're done. We're
thought
fun.
it was-
We're done.
It was paced
fun.
pretty
We had-
well.
yeah, it was.
It was
Had a
over
really good,
2
like-
hours. But like
yeah, no, it had
it-
really good pacing.
it got to it.
right. Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, this week 2 movies have like dug me out of a rut. This movie and the movie I will suggest for next week, Glass
The
Onion,
Emoji Movie.
a Knives Out story.
Oh. That.
So you mentioned the other day you have not seen Knives Out.
I have not.
How fucking dare you? Anyway, that's not the movie we're going to watch next week. We're going to watch Glass Onion, Netflix original. I am still lobbying, along with Ryan Johnson, the director, for a physical release. Please, God, make it happen. But for now, it's just on Netflix. If you don't got Netflix no more, you know, I can't condone piracy in a legal sense. Morally, I can say, you know, they're if they increase the price of Netflix and they make it so you can't share your password, you know, they kind of make the consumer have less legitimate choices to watch the movie. So, you know, pushes the people into the underground markets in a very similar way that Prohibition did for alcohol. And
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah.
I'm going to die on that hill. So
Password sharing
I
is
just
the
think
same
it's-
as repealing an amendment.
yeah, no, it's just very unfortunate that so many consumers have to resort to piracy for this movie when, if Netflix decided, those people could buy a legitimate copy. They could buy a Blu-ray copy. That's all to say, pay I'm going to try to say this with a straight face. Pay for Netflix to watch Glass Onion. Anyway, you want to get to recommendations of the week?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I have a couple show recommendations. I'll start with a new show that I watched a couple weeks ago. It's called Smiling Friends. It's like an adult cartoon kind of, but it's not like the horrible wave of adult animation that we've gotten in the past few years. It's actually pretty good. It feels like really, genuinely creative. It's kind of a little twisted. Like the first episode. So backing up, the very loose premise is there's these two cartoon guys and they have a whole, supporting cast, but these two cartoon guys that work for a company called Smiling Friends, and their whole job is to like find people that aren't smiling and make them smile in one way or another. And the first episode is about like they get a call from this guy, from this lady, and she's like, my son has been depressed in his room, and they get there. The lady's like 150 years old, and you're like, she's fucking old. Then they go into the son's room, and he is just like a 50-year-old man. Just the entire time. I'll send you a picture. Hold on, Smiling Friends gun guy.
Here, I'll just Google it.
Smiling Friends gun guy. Let me send you a picture. Let me send a picture to the chat. The entire time he's standing, just with a gun to his head. Hold on, let me find the fucking stuff we sent during the show.
I just Googled it. I found it.
Look at that. No, look at what I sent. So, it's kind of dark. Show can get a little twisted. But no, it's really good. It's a really good show.
Where is stuff we send during the show? Where'd you send it to?
I sent it to stuff we send during the show.
Yeah, I just Googled it. I found it already.
Well, I also sent it to you. So, anyway. Yeah, that's kind of an example of the tone of the show. And he ends up shooting like a pest that's in their walls at the Smiling Friends building. And then he decides he likes life again. So he becomes an exterminator.
That's how it works,
where he just shoots pests in people's houses. But yeah, there's only like, I want to say like 9 episodes, and they're all like 10 minutes long. I hope it gets a Blu-ray release. They might wait until season 2 and kind of bundle it, just because like it's not a lot of content, so it's less justified, to like warrant a physical release, just season 1 on its own. But hopefully eventually. But anyway, my second show that I want to recommend, it's a lot more popular. Nathan For You, I believe, Gavin, you've heard of it. You know about like Dumb Starbucks. Yeah, that's awesome. I love the Dumb Starbucks episode because it's one of the bits that they do in the show that like got worldwide media coverage at the time.
Yeah.
So like the whole idea of the show, like the whole premise is Nathan Fielder, of Rehearsal fame, The Rehearsal. I mentioned that show a long time ago. Excuse me. But yeah, this is the show that he did like a decade ago on Comedy Central. And his whole thing is he goes to small businesses, because he went to business school. He goes to small businesses that have whatever, some problem. Like, hey, we don't get enough customers. Right. We got this issue, whatever it is. And he proposes like an outlandish solution. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And, sometimes the business owners go along with it, sometimes they don't. But it's
sometimes
always
poop flavored ice cream. Sometimes it's not.
Well, like one of them was an ice cream shop, and his solution, to like, I guess, get more customers was to advertise that you can cut in line if you're in a hurry.
And then like trying to find a definition of hurry.
Yeah, no, that's actually what they do.
Yeah.
So my favorite part of the show is how it just goes off on a tangent. Like it'll be like about the business or about the idea, but then it'll like laser focus on one person. So for this episode, they had like Nathan typed up like a criteria of what like in a hurry means, because anyone can say they're in a hurry, but Like it was like, yeah, if you have a doctor's appointment or if you got to pick up your kids or whatever, or whatever, there was like a short list of things that qualify as being in a hurry. And there was one guy that wanted to cut in line, and he was like, yeah, I have a doctor's appointment actually, and I gotta. I'm suddenly remembering it was a hot dog place. Not that that matters at all, and I didn't need to say that, but for the sake of honesty, it was a hot dog place. Okay, get off my back. But he's like, yeah, I have a doctor's appointment, and I gotta go. So he cuts in line, and he gets his food, and he is like, yeah, I gotta go like right now. It's at 3:00. And Nathan is like watching him, like just eating there. He doesn't leave with the food. He sits there and he eats for like a half hour. He's like, hey, it's 3:30. Why isn't this guy gone? And then he like follows him after he leaves the place, finds out he went to a movie after. He's like, this guy doesn't have a doctor's appointment. So he then I'm kind of trying to remember what happened off the top of my head, but basically
He then kills the guy's dog.
Yeah, he kills the guy's dog.
dog.
No, that's the police you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Well, anyway, so he like gets this guy's information, sends him like a thing in the mail that's like, hey, or he like calls him up and he's like, hey, we're gonna give you a ride on this boat because you were the millionth customer for this business. We're gonna take you on a boat ride, and we're gonna look at these turkeys. So he takes this guy out on a boat, and while they're out on the water, he's like, look, you're not actually the millionth customer. We don't have you here to give you a prize. Actually, I'm here to teach you a lesson about why it's bad to cut in line when you're not actually in a hurry. And he's like, behind this curtain, pull the curtain back. Those are 3 people that you cut in front of at the hot dog store, at the hot dog place. And like one of them's like a child, one of them's like a single mother or whatever. Just like these 3 people that you feel bad for. And he's like, okay. And he's like, tell them you're sorry. He's like, oh, sorry guys. And like his reaction is like, why did you're weird for this. Why did you do this? And Nathan's like, yeah, so we sorted this guy out. And I just love that. I love the show so much. Anyway, I feel like I took too long to explain that episode, but I just love the show so much. But anyway, the one that I wanted to talk about is the dumb Starbucks episode. Basically for that one, he's trying to help a coffee shop and he uses parody law to basically steal Starbucks branding, but he has to set a precedent for it being a parody. So he has to go out and actually be a parody artist. And the guy who owns the business ends up backing out. So Nathan's like, actually, I'm going to open my own business place and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do dumb Starbucks. And like it gets national attention, gets international attention, and people think it's like a Banksy art piece. It's great. My favorite part is someone's like, wait, so you sell food here, but you're not Starbucks. Like, do you follow food safety regulations? And he's like, well, technically this is an art gallery, so we don't have to follow any health standards.
Technically, I'm selling you art that you are choosing to consume yourself.
Technically, this is an art display. But yeah, that's a great episode. Anyway, my third recommendation, then I'll be done. Okay. I was talking to Gavin. I was trying to talk to Gavin about this on the phone earlier. DC put out a new Superman #1. Got it right here, even though this is an audio only medium. I don't know why I felt the need to hold it up to the camera. But it's a good Superman #1. It's a good reintroduction to, his series. I have not been following him in the comics in any recent years whatsoever. So I don't know. I'm not up to date on the lore, but it was a good entry point. It was decent. Yeah, it's just the writer on the series has a really good understanding of the character, I think. It's not just like, oh, my action figure can punch your action figure and he shoots his laser eyes at the whatever. Like, there's very little of that compared to just like interpersonal interactions, which I like. Like there's one part where he's talking to the new police chief and he's like, hey, I've heard a lot of good things about you. Awesome. Nice to meet you. Anyway, and he's like overhearing a couple like in the distance, and they're like, oh no, we don't have anyone to officiate our wedding. The officiator canceled. What are we going to do? And so Superman is like, I'll talk to you later, police chief, but it sounds like something is a job for Superman. And then he officiates.
May I interject? For a moment?
And then the next page is it's like a
Meanwhile,
montage
2 blocks
of
over, a
photographs,
man is getting mugged.
And it's a montage of photographs.
And the man has
from the
children,
wedding.
and the man got shot by the mugger in
And
the
it's
stomach.
just Superman hanging out
And
with these
guess
people.
who wasn't there
and
to
it's
help
nice,
him
and Superman
when
was
he
there for him.
needed it? Superman.
And I feel like that is like that's not really what the story is about. Like you're like, yeah, he saves people all the time, but like, what is he supposed to not sleep? You know, what is he supposed to always be like rushing around? Like a big part of the character is like, yeah, you can't save everyone, but he does his best. And like the point of that interaction with like the wedding thing is to say like, yeah, nothing is too small for Superman to help out with. He's grounded. He's like, he is one of the people basically. And I like that.
But what if he was a Scientologist?
Then I guess he'd be a Scientologist. I don't know. I mean, Scientology is more valid of a religion within the DC universe than Christianity, because at least they know aliens exist.
Right, yeah.
Dude, there would for sure be all kinds of different like new scam religions that pop up in that universe.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Like Lex Luthor would be making his own religion.
Yeah, actually, Superman comes to your aid quicker if you give me money.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, you got a recommendation of the week?
Yeah, so Douglas Adams, he's the author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And, we talk a lot about Jordan Peterson and how Jordan Peterson often makes like evolutionary claims about like how people are supposed to be based on science and evolution.
Not beautiful.
Right. And I just love these little stories and anecdotes from Douglas Adams because it just shows how, like, yeah, nature doesn't have to fit our very narrow view on how things are supposed to be. Our very societally subjective opinion on what things are supposed to act like. So there's a species of bird called the Kakapo, I think is how it's pronounced.
I could not pronounce that any better.
And it lives actually in New Zealand, and it's a little island off of New Zealand. And this species of bird, they have males and females, and the males do this mating call. That's just a bass sound. The issue is, you can't determine what direction bass sounds come from. It's just a little quirk of like how sound works. Second, the female birds don't actually like the sound, how it sounds. Right?
Right. So, to back up, so like you were explaining this, while I was on the way home, slightly before we started recording. So like they evolved on an island with a limited amount of resources, right?
Oh yeah.
So the whole point of that is to evolve to not reproduce as much, to keep their population in check.
Right. And that's just kind of how they do it.
And that's why like the male birds developed that particular mating call, and the female birds developed to not like that mating call.
Well, it's like just to make it harder to reproduce, right? And so it's their nature then when shit gets shitty to make it harder to reproduce, because the only way in their environment that shit has gotten shitty is if their population is too high.
Mm-hmm.
Except now they have like rats and predators. Before they didn't have predators, and then the white man came.
Oh,
right.
Oh fuck.
And so they do this, and Douglas Adams is such a great orator, because he's just like, even when these males do this bass call, the females can't. The females don't like it, and even if they did, they wouldn't know where it's coming from, and even if they could only, I guess there's another quirk, they only mate during a certain, like, blooming of a certain fruit. And so it's like all these things that make it just like fucking dumb to mate.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it
And
when
so,
evolution goes in a stupid direction.
right. And I was telling Alex on the phone, I was just like, if you took one of these birds and you were like, made it human intelligence, right? So it could speak to us and tell us what's going on. And you're like, why aren't you fucking? They'd be like, why would we do that? That's so stupid.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What's
Shit's
wrong
shitty.
with
We
you,
need to limit our population.
freak?
What the hell, dude? So,
Hey,
I
you'll
just
get
like-
punched saying that around these parts.
right. So yeah, I just like how nature's like that and doesn't always fall in under human standards of how nature should work.
Yeah, that reminded me of another video that I watched recently. It's called "The Real Reason the Dodo Went Extinct" from Respats on YouTube. It's like a 5-minute video, very quick watch. But apparently, and I did not know very much about dodos prior to watching that video, but apparently their whole thing is dodos are like the ecologically, like within an ecosystem, they are the most useless animals. Because the thing is, they started out as regular ass birds that just happened to fly to this pretty much deserted island with like no predators or anything. And they were like, why don't we just stay here? Let's just not leave this island. And so, there was generations of, natural selection, and they basically evolved to not be afraid of anything because they have no reason to. They have no predators. And they just kind of evolved to just vibe all day and just like snack on like coconuts or whatever. And then the white man came, like you said before, and like they brought predators. Like they brought like dogs and shit and like other species of things. And it just like, and also they like deforested the area. And I believe they hunted dodos, but don't quote me on that. And yeah, they just kind of went extinct because, for no fault of their own, actually, just
Right.
because the white man came and fucked everything up. And I think that's
think
great.
they'd
I
make
want to
really good
have a
pets.
pet dodo, dude.
I wanna have a pet dodo.
Another thing I just remembered, they're fucking huge. They're like
They're
6
massive.
feet tall.
Dodos?
I believe so. Hold on. They might be like 5 foot something, but they're like the size of a person. Hold on. Dodo size.
That scares me kind of.
Oh no, they're 3 feet tall. Oh, never
Yeah,
mind.
they're smaller.
Never mind. I thought I remembered in the video the guy said that they were like big.
I mean, as birds go, that's pretty big.
That is pretty big for a bird. But yeah, retract what I said about them being huge.
But there's this one bird that is actually massive. That's like fucking huge. That like, hang on. Look at the
Ostriches.
tallest bird. No, not that one though.
Yeah, look up the tallest bird.
Because at least
But dude, you know what I
Hang
like
on.
about dodos?
What?
Is that like if you came across one, it would just let you pet it.
yeah.
Like that has no reason to be afraid of you, the white man.
Right. He's like, hey, what's up?
I don't know your dangers.
I'd be like, hey, how are you? And I would hug him, and he'd be like, oh, this is comfy.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw a thing on my phone about this, so I will mention it briefly. Brad Wenzel, local comedian, moved out to LA a while ago. He's back in the area, at least temporarily. He has a new special on YouTube. Got shouted out by Patton Oswalt, and that's really cool. But yeah, it's called Joke, Joke, Joke from Brad Wenzel on YouTube. And it's really good. I watched it the other day. It's great. I like to think of him as like a modern day Mitch Hedberg. That's what he kind of reminds me of. He's got that
Yeah.
kind of style to him.
So dodos are actually I'm still on dodos. Dodos are actually kind of like they're big, like bigger than a turkey, smaller than an ostrich. Like
Look at these turkeys.
for scale, there's a lady.
Look at these dodos.
Look at these dodos.
Look at these dodos.
Look at these dodos.
Look at
But
these
they look like they would be tasty.
dodos. Yeah.
I would eat one.
I
Fuck
want
it.
to, just out of curiosity.
Right. So wait, hold on. If you you take the dodo out of extinction and you clone one or something.
I wish they would.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, it's kind of adorable. That's an endangered species now, right? Like once again becomes critically endangered.
Yeah.
And then if you eat it, you've done a national crime, like international crime of killing an endangered species.
We should have made the dodo the national bird. Fuck the eagle. Fuck the turkey.
Yeah.
Ben
Dodo
Franklin's
just
weird
vibing.
ass. Just make it the dodo. Why
Dodo
not?
be vibing. He's just chilling on an island.
Make it the
Eating some
dodo, the
seeds,
animal that was
eating some
extinct like
fruit.
200 years before our nation was founded.
Right.
Anyway, is there commotion outside? See you.
Nah,
in
it's all
this
good.
time.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's all good.
With that, I think that's the show.
I think so as well.
I think it might be. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Bold of You to Say. If you liked it, then like it. If you subscribe, then subscribe. And if you comment, it better be nice. We have fragile egos. Please, no notes unless they're positive. Share the show with a friend. Tweet our episodes. Tweet our clips. The clips channel is in the description. I'm publishing the Twilight, the third Twilight. There, the clip there that from when we talked about it. I have it up. I just need to make a thumbnail for it. Play the show out loud at work. Get people to listen. Force them to, and then make them subscribe to our Patreon for $1 a month for early access to episodes. Anyway, leave us a review on Podchaser. It's like an IMDb type site for podcasts. Leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you can if you want, or don't. Whatever. It may help us out. It may not. I don't know. Anyway, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Turn on notifications for new episodes. Turn on automatic downloads. And let's go look at these turkeys.
Howard Dean, come on the show.
Please.
Please.